Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up? What's down? What is going on around? I'm Paolo Leasing, author of Startup Taiwan, Foreigner's Business Guide. This show is answer to your questions about starting a business here in Taiwan. So leave your questions in the comment section below. Our guest for today is Valentin Floquet from France, and he has been here for 3 years. Valentin is founder of ACUP Co. Ltd. It's a consulting trading company that specializes in sports equipment design and manufacturing for trampoline parks and other sports facilities, such as parkour room, tricking room, gymnastics schools, even customized stage acrobatic solutions. Valentin is also an anchor for Radio Taiwan International. This is where I met him, where he reports in his native language, French, about the developments in Taiwan. He also interviews foreigners to highlight their lives and contributions to the society. Valentin, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody.
First question, what is your Taiwan connection? What brought you here?
So let's say what brought me here was my wife 3 years ago. She wasn't my wife at the moment, but yeah. But I didn't move from very far because I used to live in Hong Kong for 7 years. So my Taiwan connection has started really earlier than that. I started to be really interested in Taiwan like in 2005. And I came first in 2005 to visit, and because I was very interested in Mandarin speaking countries. And also, as I used to learn Kung Fu, I wanted to also like to train with masters here. So that was my first connection with Taiwan. Then I decided in 2008 to move to China and start working there. And then I worked in factories for a long time, doing factory management and translation for French bosses. In many different fields, in textiles, in gardening machines. So I learned really the job, like all the business on site. Let's say like this. It was very like intuitive and learning from people who were in the business for many years. Then so I first moved to Guangzhou, then to Qingdao. But it was for Hong Kong company, and so I worked in the factory site for 2 years, and it closed for some crisis, for some business crisis in our field. Mm-hmm. And so I was moved back to Hong Kong and stayed there and started to do other kind of jobs and just quality control and supply chain management. I started to work more in the business field, doing more like graphic design, business, communication and stuff for the company. It's a small and big company at the same time. It's 15 people in an office, so it's not super small for a trading company. It was a trading company, but we started to work more on the communication part, but because nobody was taking care of it. So we just built the website and everything. And I was also in charge of, at the end of the corporate gifts for our customers. So I was designing the gift and doing selections for them so they can do a kind of a promotional part or even sometimes branding for them. Then after 7 years, I got what we call the PR in Hong Kong. It's the equivalent of APRC. So I'm still a Hong Kong citizen. And so I moved to Taiwan to join my wife and starting something new. So I created my company in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
So my company is still not registered in Taiwan. I still do business with Taiwan, but with COVID-19 and other stuff going on, I just postponed this part because I think I wanted to stay safe, and with the inherent payment I have to do with Hong Kong, I say like paying twice and with no business. It's been 2 years I have no business at all because all the parks in Europe, which is my main field of business, it's very complicated,
Okay.
to pay everything all the time, and that's why also I started this job in RTI.
Could you also talking about your startup? It's called ACUP, right?
ACUP, like bringing your business upward with Asian factories. It's kind of the
ACUP.
idea.
Okay, so ACUP. So right now, could you explain a little bit more about ACUP, what it does, and because right now we are on soft lockdowns, but in the near futures we will see that these sports facilities like trampoline parks would be opening up again. And how is your startup preparing for that?
So for Taiwan, I would say the field is kind of a bit locked. It's very hard to open this kind of business in Taiwan because of the law. There is not many spaces where you can build this kind of places, mainly because it's kind of a gray area in the law. It's not a school. It's not a so there is all this kind of business field for classes or I'd say fun activities, let's say, and the problem in Taiwan, let's say, is more about being able to get the local government approval for this kind of activities. Taiwan governments are not very keen to let this kind of activities running, and it's a very big, very complicated to open one in Taiwan. And that's why actually there is only one park in Taipei where it could be have 5 or 6 more. But the other parts for Taiwan business is also like for this field is the Taiwanese people are kind of a bit scared of doing this kind of activity yet, and so the market is not that big, let's say like this.
Okay, so I guess if I may say, the challenges that you are currently facing include the not so clear-cut policy on accepting these kinds of businesses, or the fact that there are no clear regulation that governs these kinds of business will make it very difficult for anyone who is doing your type of business to open it in Taiwan. So I think it also partly answers my next question, which is about which market are you trying to cater and how are you managing it from Taiwan?
So basically, as I'm doing trading and design, I can do it from everywhere. I did, as I said, during COVID-19, I didn't have any business because my customer closed. Some actually just went out of business. They just definitively closed. So it's very stressful because one of them was my biggest customer so far. And with the trampoline park business, I will give you a hint. The main good activity is the consumables. So in trampoline parks, you have foams, you have springs, you have all this kind of stuff are like stuff they need to buy every 6 months. So the more trampoline parks you have, the more business you have, the more reliable income you can have. So while doing trading, if you lose one customer in this field, and I was just at the beginning, so that was my main customer in trampoline parks, you lose all your income right away.
Okay.
So this is I need to start again. I keep contacting people, but it was a contact I got from friends, so it was easier to get a connection and build a relationship. But in general, my main market will be France. As I speak French, it's much easier to convince people with French speaking. But it depends on my activities, because my main activities are trampoline parks, and I have my own brand with for sports equipment. So for trampoline parks, I just design and help have a good quality park overall. But for my own products, my wish is to build my own factory one day.
Okay. So, but for your own sports equipment, is it also being sold in Taiwan or is it outside in
Yes. Actually, yeah. So for trampoline parks, I have no customer in Taiwan, but for my own brand, I have many customers in Taiwan. I have one parkour school in Kaohsiung.
Wow.
I have a cheerleading school in Taipei, a tricking school in Taipei as well. So they all purchase different products. Mostly, my main product is called Air Track. It's a inflatable mat that you can jump on it and increase your bounce by using the air, and a special design in those kind of air tracks. If people knows, is using the same material as a SUP board. You know SUP board? It's like the paddle boards.
Okay.
Which are pretty popular. The inflatable paddle boards are pretty popular now. And so we use this material called double wall fabric, DWF, where there is actually still very few factories building this it's still a textile, this textile, because it's a very special technique. So there is one factory in Korea. There is more factories now in China, but when I started my business, there was only one factory in China or two doing this. And most finishing product, manufacturing products were at the time were buying product from Korea, South Korea to after finish the entire mat.
Okay.
It's not super complicated. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. How do you think is Taiwan different compared to France in terms of the type of work that you do? For example, in terms of like sports equipment design and manufacturing. You could talk about the customers in France or the customers in Taiwan, or the actual industry.
Actually, so for sports equipment, I think the price is much more important in Taiwan than the safety, or I think for the people doing this business. Whereas still, like, I think the people in working in those field are not there's not as much regulations as also in Taiwan than in France. France, you have so many documents to provide according for trampoline parks, especially you have ASTM and C now. For all the metallic structure, the resistance, it's very technical, and usually you need to be an engineer to work in this field, or like very know well your business to provide all the documents and design your trampoline park according to those rules that change. As trampoline parks are very new, the rules change every month. So it's complicating to follow up as well. But in Taiwan, really, the business, the main difficulty, I will say, is to have people who knows more than just doing the business, more technical parts, more. I've been comparing this to Hong Kong, where there is two very big brands, people very I'd say experienced in doing parks and stuff like this. In Hong Kong, you have two big brands that are Rise and used to have Bounce, but they closed for some financial reasons. So with their landlord, but yeah, so they were very professional in everything they do. No, it was not only the parks themselves, but also like all the communications, the marketing. And in Taiwan, it's I can say it's very laid back.
Okay.
It's like more relaxed, and it's not like as much pressure as doing the business and making money out of it. Just being there is enough most of the time, because there's not so many solutions. And so you have to compete with this kind of parks that are just enough to play, and maybe Taiwanese don't require here as much more than this. They don't want the super parks, super new designs. They just a place where it's fun and cheap is enough for them, I think. That's what I feel so far in 3 years.
Okay. I'm also interested in your role as an anchor for Radio Taiwan International. Could you tell us more about it? What's your main role there, and how did you get this job?
So I will start with how I got this job. So it's a government radio, so they have some process to hire people. So it goes through like a writing test and also an interview.
Okay.
So RTI is a international representation in radio to everywhere in the world. Mostly there is 13 languages, and they put just a message on Facebook. So that's how I knew they were looking for people.
Okay.
And so I got hired in 2019 June.
Okay.
And so it's been 2 years for
but what's
for 2 years.
Okay, but what is your main role? I know because when you broadcast your show, it's in French, but somehow I could tell that it's all about documenting the lives of foreigners here, or bringing some news about what's going on in Taiwan to the French audience. So is there any specific role that you need to do?
So for this show, actually we choose. We are very free of doing whatever we want. Here I could speak about I don't know, about animals, about everything I want, really. Like I'm very free on the show I choose, just not being the same as my coworkers.
Okay.
It's normal. So for my own show, I decided to do entrepreneurship. I wanted to understand the entrepreneur journey in Taiwan, how people work through the process. Is it hard or not to be an entrepreneur in Taiwan? And I wanted also like to show like the panel of entrepreneurs, of foreign entrepreneurs in Taiwan, because everybody has a very different story, and I want more to focus on the stories and on the business.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I also speak about the business and like how to make the paperwork and everything. That's where I interviewed also people from the government to provide some advice on how to get a visa or stuff like this. But mostly, my main show, which is on every Thursday in French, is to introduce entrepreneurs to French people that are in Taiwan.
Wow.
But yeah, I also do like I like also to do the other way, like interviewing Taiwanese overseas, which is also interesting, like to see how they evolve, how they see being an entrepreneur in France, for example.
Okay.
Or in a French speaking country, because we are French speaking radio, not only for French people, but also for any French speaking countries.
Okay, which leads me to my next question about the foreigners that you interviewed for your show, who are mostly like startup founders. Are there specific like common topics or concerns that they always bring up to your show, which you could also highlight for our audience right now?
I think for foreigners, the hardest part is the paperwork, which is mostly in Chinese still yet. Even though we know Taiwan want to be an English-speaking country by 2030, but it's still like the main. If the foreigner is alone, they will say the main difficulty and the hardest part that coming back all the time is the paperwork, if they have to do it by themselves. Afterward, we know that in Taiwan there is many entrepreneurs that are working with their wife, and it's totally another story.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for more traditional business, usually they do it with their wife, and they're helping a lot for the paperwork. I'm thinking about the guys, but it could be like also the husband for the ladies. I didn't have in 2 years. I interviewed almost 50. I made the count recently, around 50 to 60 people, and I didn't have a French lady who were married, or like foreign lady who were married to a Taiwanese, and that the Taiwanese help for the business. Is much more common to see the other way around still. Even I know there is the other way sometimes. I don't say that it doesn't exist in Taiwan. But so yeah, that's the main part for foreign entrepreneurs. And the other big part, mostly in tech and startups, it's the help that entrepreneurs got from government and accelerators or institutions that helps a lot in Taiwan. And I think that's the main change in the recent years, how Taiwan approach entrepreneurship, and they see the opportunity like to push people to be an entrepreneur, and also like wanting to welcome new talents and new entrepreneurs in Taiwan from overseas.
Okay. So far, what's your favorite interview and why?
So it's hard because
memorable.
Each profile, yeah, I know. It's each profile is very different, and I've got really like a different approach from everybody in doing their business. One is the most memorable was still the French company called Odysseus, which is designing small satellites for Taiwan.
Okay.
Have their company in Thailand. It is very different from any business I can see, and it's so specific. The engineers are so good and specialized in what they do. It's very special craft. So it was very interesting to see like this word that's out of any beliefs, I would say. It's very interesting. Really, it was very interesting to do the interview. I went there. I made also a video about this because I also I will talk about this maybe a bit later. But in my job, I'm not only doing my show. I have to do the news. I have to do everything. So it's a very time-consuming also job to do on a daily basis. You see, I'm still at the radio right now working. So
thank you for your time.
That's yeah. I have no problem. Always fun to share my experience. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. So you've been here like for 3 years. How do you think can Taiwan be a better place for foreigners, both as a startup founder and for you right now as a family man?
Yeah. So as a family man, I think it's quite okay. I can live here even if the salary are quite low compared to what I got in Hong Kong. It's not comparable. I still can live and be happy with my life here, even with a quite of basic income compared to France either. But for the business, I always been afraid to start a business because with no fund, with no capital at the beginning, I don't think the government help a lot. It's hard to make a loan. It's hard to do everything to help your company start from the ground up. As a foreigner, I still precise because for Taiwanese it looks like quite easy, and they have a lot of help. Even if they don't have money, they have institutions that are helping them all the way to build up and make the connection. But for foreigners, we are still like outside of this system. I feel like that so far, and that's why I've been afraid like to open my company also here.
I think you're not alone in having this kind of thoughts about Taiwan. In fact, one of my guests from the past, who you also know, Mr. Elias Ek, also talked about creating a fund that will finance some of the projects by foreigners here in Taiwan. So I'm actually looking forward to it. He began by having his own Dragon's Chamber, which is basically a pitch competition for foreigners. And I guess he plans to expand that into a fund that could be used by foreigners who want to start a business, which basically addresses what your main concern is. And what about as a family man? Do you think you as a foreigner married to a Taiwanese, is there a better way to make Taiwan a better place, basically, for you?
Honestly, to me, it's a very nice place to live for the family. Maybe for the school system, there is a kind of a very big gap between local schools and after you have the international schools, and you don't have a middle one where you don't have to pay too much money, but you have also like the kind of Montessori schools or stuff like this, like a bit more laid back kind of learning, not only learning by heart everything that you do and stuff like this. That maybe is the kind of stuff I can worry for the future for my baby. But so far I've been helped a lot. We have a very nice process through all the pregnancy. It's all the place we went was pretty nice, and we do a water birth, in water birth. I think it's called like that in English, which is pretty nice, and we have a lot of support. So I can't complain anyhow on this part of my life. I really like to live in Taiwan. Taiwanese are very nice to me. Maybe also because I speak Mandarin fluently, so I don't have all this difficulty to have the language barrier or anything like that. So for me, this part is the life part is why I can be very happy in Taiwan as well. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a fast round. I know I stole this idea from your show basically because I found it so fun, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have it in my show as well. Basically, you know how this goes, right? First thing that comes to your mind, you just tell me. Are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right. What is your daily breakfast?
My daily breakfast is coffee with the small Taiwanese burgers place. I take 1 or 2 sandwiches. So
okay.
Mostly,
What show are you currently watching on Netflix?
What show I've just finished what show? To Handle actually.
Okay. Are you
but like the other shows, I'm about to watch the 4th season of Black Lightning. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a morning or night person?
I'm a night person, totally.
Okay. Are you Android or iOS?
iOS.
Oh, are you Mac or PC?
Mac, mostly. Yeah.
Okay. So Apple fan.
Yeah. For design is like it's kind of going together. So still now.
Makes sense. Favorite game?
My favorite game. I'm just starting a game that was created from a friend, which is a gymnastic game. Trampoline and gymnastic game, and it's he just started his business. An American trampolinist who started his own game with an e-sport version. So it's still on the beta right now, but it will come out very soon, and I think it's very fun. Yeah.
Is it a VR or is it a VR game or?
No, normal like standard platform game where you a bit like a Tony Hawk kind of game,
Okay.
As you build skills, you do big tricks and stuff like this. Yeah.
Because I saw you post it online, and I was also tempted to download it and see if I would enjoy it because the mechanic seems to be intuitive. So maybe I'll try it. All right. Favorite movie of all time?
I need to explain a bit after, but it's the Sound of Music. Okay.
You can explain if you want.
I've been a singer when I was a kid. I was in a choir, and this movie like really inspired me to start singing at that time. I don't sing anymore, but I'm still very inspired by this movie. I love the mountains and everything in this movie as well. So yeah.
Okay. Favorite book?
Favorite book?
Books, if you have.
Sorry?
Or books, if you have a lot.
Yeah, no. I'm the kind of person that don't read a lot, as I'm doing a lot of news. I'm tired of reading after my job, because I'm reading a lot of papers, studies or stuff like this. So at the end, I don't read a lot of books. I'm more video people as well. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, let's talk about your action items. How can we help you, and what are your plans?
So my plan is basically to find a partner now, because I'm after 4 years doing my business. It's very hard to focus on everything all the time, like especially during such a long time. 4 years is a long time to build a business. I'm still not giving up on it, and I have got many inquiries recently, but I need somebody like who focus more on the stuff I lack of confidence, or like I'm a bit slow to do. Let's say like all the business part for me is something I learned from my experience in the trading company, but it's not my main field. And I feel like I spend a lot of time spending or like wondering if I'm doing the right thing, because it's not that intuitive that if I was learning from it. So I would need a partner in this that would be also interesting in my field, because that's the hardest part for me, having somebody interested in my field that can support me in the part I'm not very aware of. This is the first part, so finding a partner, and the second part, building a factory. This is really my big dream, and I hope Taiwan could help me to do this, because having a Taiwanese brand with a manufacturer in Taiwan for sports equipment will be something that will be something outside of Chinese products. I would say like this. For Asia, there is not other manufacturer in Asia for this kind of sports, and Taiwan have the expertise. They have all the products for this. It's foams, it's textiles, it's all technical products that Taiwan is very good at doing, and we have all the suppliers here. We just need the factory to build it, and that's a bit sad that Taiwan doesn't have its gymnastics own brand, really.
So I guess, so what we could do for your show is basically put up all the links that point to your company, to your website, and hopefully we could also discuss further with some of our connections, whether they could help out in terms of finding you the right connection to build your own brand of like gymnastics for specifically that's coming from Taiwan instead of from some other countries. So basically that's the last question, and that concludes our show for today. So Valentin, really thank you very much for spending time with us, and for our audience, until next time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. I hope if you are entrepreneurs here, I will say like welcome in Taiwan, and really like, even it's hard, we are a community, and we still can help each other to find solutions. So if you have any questions, anyhow, you can still find me anyway.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.